God specifically gave me this word to share with you this weekend. This word. Through every setback and heartache of your life as a believer, God is plotting and working for your good and for your joy every single time. He's always plotting. He's always scheming. He's always working for your good every single time. But what hits me about Romans 8, and this is what I want to dive in on, is that good is an instant. When we say God is working for good, we want instantaneous good, don't we? We want to be let go of a job and get the promotion the next hour. We want instantaneous good. That's what I want, instantaneous good. But God says, hold on, I'm working good, which means in your life, it will not be instantaneous. It's going to be a journey where God takes you into the goodness he's preparing you for. It's a journey to get there. But like any road trip, the hardest part about a journey is getting to the place you need to be. I have kids, and I don't care if I say, hey, the trip's gonna be 1 hour or 15 hours. As soon as we get in the car, the first question they start asking after about 2 minutes is, are we there yet? And when you get stuck so many times in a season where things are not good, so many times you want to go, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And God says, hold on, something good is on the way. But to get there, I got to take you there. And so to kick off summer 2023 at Journey Church, summer at Journey Church, we're going to go on a little road trip. Going to go on a little road trip. Push somebody, say we're going on a trip. A trip to something good. Something good. Because what will happen if you don't understand how God works in stages to bring you to the good he has for you, you'll give up on one stage and you'll never enter the fullness of the stage that God has been preparing to bring you into. Can I preach a little bit? Because this is my heart. You give up back here because you go, I'm tired, I'm weary, I'm defeated. This doesn't look good. And God says, I know it doesn't look good because I'm not done yet. When I get done, something good is on the way. But to get you to the place I have prepared for you, I got to take you on a journey to get there. Don't you dare give up. And so to do this, we're going to go through the book of Ruth. In one message, this is going to be a miracle in and of itself. I'm going to preach through the book of Ruth. Ruth chapter 1 is where we're going to start out in. But Ruth is on a journey like many of us are on, and she's struggling. But God says something good is on the way. Backstory, what's happening, we're introduced in the book of Ruth to a lady named Naomi. And Naomi is an incredible woman of God. And she gets married. She's married to a guy named Elimelech. And they leave their country, their place, and they go to a place called Moab because there's a famine in their land. They can't eat. She has some little kids at this time, little boys, and she goes to Moab. And as she's there, they kind of keep surviving. Her boys get older. They marry 2 Moabite women. And all of a sudden, things get really bad. It went from bad to worse. You ever have one of those days where like it goes from bad and then it gets really bad? And then you're like, I thought that was bad. Now it's even worse. And I'm not talking about, hey, it's bad. It's a bad day. I lost a job I didn't want. I'm talking like it's bad. And what happened to Naomi is she lost her husband. That's a tragedy in and of itself. But then pretty soon, not only did she lose her husband, she lost one of her other sons. Then she lost another son. So she's lost the 3 people in her life. Now all she has left are her daughter-in-laws. Her world has been shattered, turned upside down, and she doesn't know what to do. So she turns to her daughter-in-laws and says, hey, why don't you just go back home? You just kind of stay here in Moab and you worship your God, and I'll go back and I'll worship my God because I'm done, I'm tired. I don't see any way that this can be good out of this. In fact, she says in Ruth chapter 1, verse 13, she says, it is more bitter for me than for you because the Lord's hand has turned against me. I can't see anything good coming out of this. I can't believe anything good could come from this. And so, girls, why don't you just go back to your gods? Go back to what is comfortable. Go back to what is familiar. And it's a critical point in the text because it says at this very point, they wept aloud again. So you have her 2 daughter-in-laws who are surrounding Naomi and they're weeping over her. And then Orpah, not Oprah, Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and says, I'm out. I'm done. I can't take it anymore. I can't keep dealing with this. If God was so good, why am I here? And if your God was so great, then why would he do this? I can't deal with this. I've lost my father-in-law. I've lost my husband. I lost my future. I lost my destiny. I'm done. It's just too much. I quit. So Orpah says, peace out. And she walks back to what is comfortable, what she knows. But Ruth. But Ruth clung to her. Ruth held on to her. Verse 15 says, look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law, she's going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. I don't know how we're going to face this. We are lost. It's hard. It's tough. It's over. It's done. You go back too. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you, to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Ruth, how can you say that? This next statement. Your God will be my God. Naomi, I don't know what's going on, but you introduced me to the God of Israel, the God of the covenant, the God of Jacob, the God who is the God of everlasting, the God of the impossible. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to walk away from the living God. Wherever you go, I'll go. Whatever you say, I'll be there. But I'm holding on. And she says, where you die, I will die, and there I'll be buried. And may the Lord deal with me. So she says, I don't know what's happening in the future, but I've given my life over to the living God, the sovereign Lord. I've given my life. Whatever he wants, he can do, he will do. Be it ever so severely, if even death separates me from you. My life is not mine anymore. This is an incredible statement of faith. She says, I'm holding on to the living God. I'm holding on to the living God. And here Ruth is stuck in the middle. She sees Orpah going, I'm done. I quit. And she's on this end, Naomi saying, I don't know what God is going to do. I don't know if he can do anything about our situation. And yet Ruth says, I don't know. I can't describe it. But something good is on the way because God is not done with us. God is not done. But notice she's not thriving. She doesn't know where she's going. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She doesn't know how it's going to work out, but she knows who. She knows the living God. And because of that, she's just saying, I'm going to hold on. 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 And this is the first stage of the trip. You ready for the first stage? The first stage is surviving. Shout surviving. You get rocked so hard, it's hard to get up because you get your wind knocked out of you. For some of you, it's just a miracle you got out of bed because you did not want to even get out of bed. But yet you got out of bed. And people look at your life and you're definitely not thriving. You're going, no, I'm not thriving. I'm just surviving now in this season. I'm surviving. I'm making it day by day. It's just good that I got out of bed and I ate something today. You better be glad I took a shower today. You better be glad I'm just talking today, because if I would tell you all the things that my world's been rocked with, if I was to tell you the story of the soap opera of my life, you thought country music was sad. No. This is sad. It's a bad story. And she's stuck in this situation and she feels like I'm just surviving. But she's clinging. And Ruth doesn't have a lot of support. And in fact, look what Naomi tells her in Ruth 1:20. She says, don't even call me Naomi anymore. She said, call me Mara. Mara is the Hebrew word for bitter. She says, just call me a bitter woman. Hashtag I'm bitter. The world is bad because the Almighty has made my life very, very bitter. I mean, what do you do when you're trying to live by faith and the person you looked up to leaves the faith? This is a bad day. You see, Ruth, I love Ruth. She's struggling. Her world's been rocked. Naomi's being rocked. Her faith is rocked. But she says, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I got to go where God's calling me to go. I'm just surviving because I believe. I can't put a name on it. I can't put a date on it. I can't put details to it. I don't have a plan for it, but something good. Just something good is on the way. I resolved that God, I'm going to cling to you because I want to run and I want to give up, but I'm not going to run and I'm not going to give up because something good is on the way. There is no plan B for Ruth. She's leaving her country. She's leaving her people. She's leaving everything. She has been abandoned. She's been hurt. She's been broken. She feels abused. She feels mistreated. And she doesn't know what to do, but she says, I'm not running. I'm holding on to the living God. She's desperate. But she believes something good See, there's a defiance of faith. There's a defiance that has to rise up in the seasons when you feel like giving up, where you say, I'm not going to give up. There has to be a defiance where you say, God, I don't know how you're going to do it. And I don't know when you're going to do it. And God, I don't know how this is all going to work out. But God, I know something good. You got to get this in your spirit. Something good is on the way. So why would I give up now if I believe that something good was on the way? Why would I shortchange the process and get stuck in the stage that is here and not go all the way to where God is trying to bring me, because I get so discouraged? And the danger is when you're in this stage, you're going to want to give up. When you're in this stage, you're going to ask, are we there yet? And you're going to think the problem should go away instantaneously, but you're going to wake up and the problem's going to be there. You're going to go to sleep, still there. You're going to get high, still there. You're going to talk about it, still there. You're going to pray about it, still there. It's going to still be there. And in the moment, the temptation would be, I'm done. The temptation would be to do what Orpah did. I'm out. I'm finished. I'm just going to go back to what I know, what I can control, what is comfortable. I'm going to go back and stay in Moab. But Ruth gets up and says, I can't stay here. Can I talk to some of you who are stuck in Moab? I've been stuck here for a while. So this is one journey to another journey. This is one pilgrim to another pilgrim. Because I've been feeling like I've been stuck in Moab for a long time. Everything's falling apart. Seems like nothing is being blessed. Everything seems to die. Everything seems to turn around. What you thought was going to be a blessing turned into a curse. Moab, anybody stuck in Moab? I want to talk to you because so many of you, DeLand, come on, some of you are stuck. You're stuck in Moab. Some of you are stuck in Deltona. You think Deltona is bad. No, you're stuck in Moab. And you're going, I don't know how to get out. I don't know how to get out. And the temptation in the moment was to be, I just kind of leave and I go back to what I know. I go back to what is comfortable. And God says, if you go back, you'll never experience the good I want to bring to you. Don't you dare give up. There has to be something within you that says, I'm not giving up. I know it's hard, but I'm not giving up. I know the season is long, but I'm not giving up. I know that the circumstance I'm in seems so overwhelming, but I'm not getting up. I might be crushed, but I'm not forsaken. I'm not giving up. I might be in this situation downcast, but I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. Shout, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up because I know something good is on its way. So why would I give up now and keep me from the good God wants to bring into my life? You see, that's the temptation in this stage. You want to stay stuck in Moab. And God says, no. I'm calling you out of Moab because I got something better for you. I got something that's going to rock you and transform you and shape you and redeem you. But to get to the place where I'm going to work the good for you, you got to get out of this broken place and into the good place I have for you. You got to follow my lead. And so Ruth says, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. I don't know how, but I'm not letting go. I'm not letting go of the promise. I'm not letting go of the vision. I'm not letting go of the destiny. I'm not letting go. So devil, you can hit me as hard as you want to hit me because that just means I'm getting closer. That just means I'm getting closer because it's not in my strength that I'm going to receive it. It's in my weakness that I'm going to receive it. And so I'm going to boast not in my strength. No, that's Moab. I'm going to boast in my weakness because when I know that I'm weak through the power of Jesus Christ, I'm made strong. So I'm holding on. I'm holding on. I'm holding on. I might look desperate, but I'm holding on. I'm holding on. Tell the devil, I'm not letting go. That's a defiance. There's a fighting aspect of faith. And here's the good news. When you're in this season, it feels like it will never go away. But here's what I want you to hear. This stage will pass. It will pass. It's only a season. It's only a season. Don't judge the full outcome until you get to the end. Don't get stuck in the circumstances that are temporary that you miss out on the journey God is bringing you into. The season that you're in, right now, this too will pass. Something good is on the way. Something good is on the way. So Naomi, chapter 1, verse 22. So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law. And they arriving in Bethlehem. And it just so happened that they arrived as the barley harvest was just beginning. And here's what I love about the book of Ruth. You're going to see these intricate details begin to transpire in the book. And what you're going to find is the problems of people are going to begin to intersect with the providence of the living God. God's going to work something out behind the scenes that no one is expecting. He's going to do something that's so unexpected, it's going to blow everybody away. And so they show up, and it's incredible. It says they just show up at the right time. Just the right time. They're not looking to be blessed. They're just surviving. I'm just trying to make it through. But they show up at the right time when barley harvest has begun and there's a lot of barley. And she goes, I'm just surviving and I need to eat. I need to eat. So Ruth chapter 2, verse 2. So when Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, so let me go to the fields. You see this? She says, I'm just not going to wait around. Let me go to the fields. Let me pick up some leftover grain behind anyone. And maybe in someone's eyes, I will find favor. And Naomi said there, go ahead, my daughter. It takes incredible faith. That she says, I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe God will show me favor. Maybe God would open up a door that wasn't there before. Maybe you'll do something that would just give me favor, that if he could just provide just a little bit, I just need a little bit, God. Just give me a little bit to make it through the day. Maybe if I could just receive a little bit of favor, I could walk into something. Maybe something is happening and she doesn't know anything is changing. She's just kind of saying, okay, God, I'm gonna trust you. I can't see you working. I can't hear you. I can't see you. I don't comprehend it, but God, just because I can't see you doesn't mean you're not working. And just because I don't hear you doesn't mean you're not speaking. This is faith. She said, maybe the favor of God will be upon me. Maybe I'll be provided for. Even when God is not seen, even when God's not felt, even when it seems that God is not speaking, God is always, always, always working. And let me show you from the text what I mean by that. So she says, I'm just going to head to the field. Maybe God will show me some favor. Verse 3. So she went out and she entered a field and she began to glean behind the harvesters. Gleaning means she's just picking up the leftovers. And she says, and as it turned out, it just so happened, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was the clan of Elimelech. Now Ruth is written from a human perspective, talking about God's divine perspective of how he begins to move and orchestrate and work in people's lives. So Ruth is writing this and she says, I don't know what happened, but I happened to be at the right place, Bethlehem, at the right time. And I went to the field and I was just surviving. I was just trying to get by. But when I was at the field, I just happened to meet the right person and his name was Boaz. Now she doesn't get it at this point, but this is a big, 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 big deal. And I'll tell you why. Because Boaz in the culture that they're from is called a kinsman redeemer. What a kinsman redeemer is, in a family, if a part of the family would go through a tragedy, the kinsman redeemer would come along and marry the widow and bring them back into the family and they would restore them. They would give them houses. They would bring back their fields. They would pay off their debt. They would bring them in and they would care for them. And so this is someone who says, hey, it's my burden to bless you. And so she shows up in the field of Boaz and Boaz is the kinsman redeemer for her, but she doesn't even know it yet. She just happened. You catch what she says? She just happened. I just kind of stumbled into this field. And when I stumbled in it, Boaz was the one who was there and it was his field. And just then, verse 4, just then, Boaz, it just so happened that Boaz arrived from Bethlehem. He showed up at the right time and he greeted the harvesters and he said, the Lord be with you and the Lord bless you, they answered. And just as the right time, as Boaz shows up at the right place, he looks across his field. And it just so happens, do you catch what the text is trying to do for us? It just so happened that he looks out over the field and says, verse 5, who's that? I know all the ladies of Bethlehem, but I've never seen that lady. Who's that? Who's that young lady in the field? It just so happened that she was at the right place. This is a big field, right? It just happened that he was at the right place at the right time. It caught her eyes, and so he went over to her and he said, "Who is this?" And his workers kind of filled him in. That's Ruth, and Ruth is Naomi's daughter-in-law, and they kind of shared the story of Ruth and her faith and trusting in God. And so he walks over to her and he says to her, and this is so beautiful, he says in verse 12, he says, "May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you've come to take refuge." God says, oh, come on, you got to receive it. God says, he looks at her and says, you could have stayed in Moab, but you did not let go. You held on to the God who is your refuge. And as God protected you, I will help you. And he turns around and says, take all the food you want. Take all the food you want. And allows her to stay in the field. And it's interesting because the text gives us these words. It just happened. It just happened. It just happened that there was a famine in the land and they showed up at Bethlehem, and it just so happened it was harvest time, and it just so happened that it was actually a harvest, and it just so happened that Naomi and Ruth were there and they didn't know where to turn, so Ruth just started gleaning, and it just so happened she showed up in the right field of Boaz, and it just so happened that Boaz was there at the right time, and he caught her eye, and he looked at her and said, who is this woman? And it just so happened that now he's talking to her, and it just happened, and from a human perspective, it looks like it just happened, but can I tell you something? Nothing just happens. Nothing just happens. Nothing. Come on, you got to catch this. Nothing. Deltona, the land, shout it out with me. Nothing just happens. No. I'm surviving. Here's the next stage. I'm surviving. But what God is about to do, I'm going to stumble in on. There's the stumbling stage. She wasn't looking for it. You catch this? She was just kind of stumbling along. And she was stumbling along, she began to see the providence of God. The providence of God is this incredible theological word that means God is completely sovereign. And he doesn't just kind of spin the world and say, okay, have at it as you want. No, God is intimately, intricately involved in every minutia detail of every single life. In fact, Jesus said it this much. He says, God knows the hair on your head. He knows how many hairs you still have. As I get older, I go, God, please don't let them, don't decrease, increase, please. But he knows all the hairs on your head. He knows the minute details of your life. He's God. He knows everything. And not only does he know everything, but he's planning everything. He's working everything out. He has a master plan according to a master purpose to get where people of God need to be so that they experience good. Something good is on the way because God is working something good even in the seasons where I can't see him. But from Ruth's perspective, God has his plan, but she feels like she's just stumbling. She feels like she's just showing up, and Ruth is trying to tell us in a way that is so humble. She's trying to tell us, I wasn't looking. I was just surviving. This wasn't on my calendar. I didn't put on my calendar, hey, on this day, you manipulate the situation to get what you want. She says, I wasn't manipulating it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I didn't plan enough. I didn't think about this enough. I didn't put a strategy together. I didn't weigh the pros and cons on this. No. I just showed up and I was at the right place at the right time with the right people, with the right words. And it just opened, a door opened for me in the very moment. I just kind of stumbled into the blessings of God. And he began to move in my life like I haven't seen before. Jeremiah 29:11. Can I talk a little bit? Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you. Here's the problem though. I don't know the plans God has for me, which means I'm going to be shocked. But here's what will happen. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and plans to give you a good future. A good future. See, here's what Jeremiah is saying. when you look through your life, the biggest blessings, the transformation, I'm talking about revolutionary events, they will shock you in the moment. And you'll feel like you just stumbled upon it. Can I tell you about in my life? 1995, I showed up at a Magic playoff party. Just a normal day. I showed up, 1995. I walked in. I was at the right place at the right time. 6 months ago, I just got out of a really bad relationship. I wasn't looking for a woman. But I walked in, and there was this hottie on the couch that I'd never seen before. And I said, who is that beautiful hottie sitting on the couch at the Magic game? And my friend introduced me, and she said, my name is Shayna. I said, that sounds like a beautiful name. And at the moment, I wasn't looking. I was not looking. At that moment, I just kind of stumbled in, and I met my wife for the first time. I wasn't looking for a date, but I found a wife. I wasn't looking for a woman, but I found a wife. I wasn't looking for a change, but I found a wife. You see, I just kind of stumbled in, and God says, let me show you how good I am. You weren't prepared, but I've been preparing for you. That's how God works. Another example. I was not planning to be your pastor. Don't get offended. I love you now. I just didn't know you. I didn't know you. Like I was not planning. I did not want to be your pastor. In fact, I was going to plant a church out west. Shane and I were going to go plant a church out in either Denver or Phoenix. That's where we were heading. But it just so happened at the right time, at the right place, the right person, one of my best friends, Pastor Tim, who's now the location pastor at Deltona, he called me out of the blue. I wasn't looking for, hey, churches in Central Florida. Wasn't on my radar. He called me and said, hey, there's a church. It's struggling. It's bankrupt. People are leaving. There's been a major division. I think you'd be perfect for it. I said, shut up, devil. And he said, no, would you pray? I just stumbled into it. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. You got to catch this. I wasn't looking, but something good was on the way. I didn't know it yet. This is how scandalous grace is. I didn't know it yet. I couldn't plan this. It just hit me out of the blue. God says, let me show you how my favor works. My favor isn't fair. I'm going to bless you anyways. I'm going to show you my goodness. The house we live in, I have a beautiful house. I am blessed beyond measure. People drive by my house going, it looks like something needs to be on the Home and Garden show. It's a beautiful house. I was not looking for a beautiful house. You know what I was looking for? I was looking for a house big enough to hold my army, my squad of kids, that we needed a house. We needed a bigger house. We went 5 years looking for a house. We couldn't find one. In fact, Paul, who's my good friend, he goes to the land location. Paul was our realtor, and I was his longest client. He could not find us a house. There was not a house that was big enough that could meet our money. We just couldn't find the two. We couldn't find two. So we just kind of gave up. So Thanksgiving week, I still remember this. Thanksgiving week. No one's talking about buying a house on Thanksgiving week. It's the holidays. He called me up and said, hey, remember, out of the blue, remember that house you were looking at 2 years ago? And you liked, but then somebody wrote a contract on it, and it's been a long time under contract. Well, I just got word that the contract fell through. It's been broken. And if we can put a bid in at the right time, and we're in the right season, because it's right in the middle of the holiday season, I think the bank might actually take it far below what it's really worth. Let's work on this fast. And so I put it in at the right time, at the right place, and we bought the house, incredibly low value, and God blessed me in ways I couldn't imagine. I go, wow, God, I stumbled into this. I wasn't planning it. It just stumbled into it. Can I talk to some of you? You're about to stumble into something. You're about to stumble. You weren't planning for it. Oh, whoo. But God says, I'm about to bless you. You're about to stumble into it. Some of you are single. You're about to stumble into meeting a person you're going to marry. Some of you are at a job. You're about to stumble into the job God has been destined for you. Some of you are about to stumble into some financial resources that are going to get you out of the mess that you're in. Some of you are going to stumble into meeting a doctor who's actually going to be able to do the procedure you've been praying for. Somebody's actually going to stumble into, hey, there's actually an adoption in this situation that we can do. Somebody's about to stumble into something. You're going to look back and say, God, I didn't deserve this. And God says, I know. It just so happened that you were in the right place at the right time with the right people. And it just so happened, God says, I'm about to open the door. Get ready, because you're going to stumble through it. And I'm going to bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you in ways you can never comprehend. You see, in this, the danger. The danger is you can't give up in the survival stage or you'll miss it. Because remember Orpah? She's still in Moab. Don't miss this. You're going to get scared of this first stage, surviving, that you're going to miss the stumbling stage. That's why the devil's been so attacking you so hard. The devil attacks because he knows God is on the move. You can't see it, but he can see it. And he can see God moving. And he's going to fight with every fiber he can to let all hell itself come against you to keep you from the good thing God's trying to prepare you for. That's why you can't give up in stage 1. You got to keep going to stage 2. And so Proverbs 16:9 says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord, but the Lord. But the Lord establishes their steps. So many of you are freaking out about your future. And here's what I want you to hear. Just stumble into it. God is up to something good. You just be faithful in surviving and trust that God is going to work away. And what's going to happen? He will work away. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to moan about it. You don't have to force it. The greatest things in your life you will stumble upon, because that's just how scandalous and how good God is. That's his goodness on display. So God blessed me in ridiculous, crazy ways. So it doesn't make sense. I want you to bless me in such a way that people look at me and go, how did he do that? And my answer is the favor of the Lord. I just stumbled. It just happened. 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 Reminds me of Genesis 28, verse 16, where Jacob looks around and he says, surely the Lord is in this place. And I wasn't even aware of it. I wonder how many of you are about to give up on the stage that you're in, because God is working, but you just can't see him working. And God says, I'm working. But now Ruth, now that she's stumbled into the opportunity, it doesn't mean it will just happen. Can we talk about the third stage, the final stage? See, we're getting to the end. Are we there yet? Yeah, we're almost there. If you were my kids, I'll say, we're almost there. We're almost there. One more potty break. We're almost there. The third stage, I want you to write this down. Stepping. Shout stepping. You have to move in obedience. Don't stop now. You see, this is the incredible movement of God and how God begins to work. God opened the door, but now Ruth has to obey and step into it. You have to step into what God has allowed you to be stumbled upon. So just because you stumbled upon it doesn't mean it's going to bring you to the fullness of good that God has for you, unless you by faith move in it and actually step into the very opportunity God has blessed you with. It doesn't just happen. So Ruth goes home and she tells Naomi all that is happening. Day by day, she goes back to the same field. Day by day, she's just doing the same thing. I'm just surviving. I'm not thriving. I'm just surviving. But God is working. He's stumbling her into a situation where now she's in the right place, in the right field, with the right person, in the right season. It's beautiful. And so she goes home and she tells this to Naomi, and Naomi does some research and she finds out about Boaz, that Boaz actually is the kinsman redeemer. And so Ruth chapter 3, verse 2. So she says, now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, he's a relative of ours. He's the kinsman redeemer. Ooh, God was working. Remember, you just happened. You just stumbled upon a field. Well, let me tell you who field you stumbled upon. His name is Boaz, and he actually is the kinsman redeemer. And tonight, he'll be winnowing his barley on the threshing floor. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to wash, put on some perfume, put on your nice clothes, get dressed up. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you're there until he has finished eating and drinking. And when he lies down, note the place where he's lying. And here's what you do. I want you to go uncover his feet and lie down. Now, to tell you something, this is risky. She doesn't know what's going to happen. if I go down. And the plan is if I uncover his feet, he's going to get cold. He's going to wake up. When he wakes up to uncover his feet, she's going to be laying at his feet, and he's going to look up and say, whoo, there's a beautiful woman by my feet. What do I do now? And it could go bad in a lot of ways, right? This could go really bad. This could turn into I don't even want to talk about that movie this could turn into. I mean, it could go bad. And so she's there, and this is scandalous. She doesn't know how it's going to work out. She doesn't know what he's going to do. He could reject her. I mean, how hard would that be? She's already had one man die. Now to be rejected by another person who could save her? Man, the pressure. I mean, think about the tension in Ruth's heart. I guarantee your heart's beating 1,000 times a minute. She's at a crossroads. She doesn't know what's going to happen. But she's trusting in God. She's trusting in God. She's trusting in God. Or he could take advantage of her. He could abuse her. He could hurt her. He could neglect her. She doesn't know. But Ruth says, or Naomi says, now when you get there, here's what you do. He will tell you what to do. So how will it end? I don't know. We're trusting God in this one. We're trusting God in this one. And so I love Ruth's heart, because she's not saying this just to Naomi. I believe she's saying this to God. I will do whatever you say. I'll do whatever you say. I don't understand it, but I'll do whatever you say. God, I'm going to trust you. And if you say do it, I'm going to do it. If you say don't, I'm not. And the stepping stage is all about obedience. It's all about going forward and exercising my will and my faith in the opportunities that God has provided. God will unlock some doors for you, but you'll never enter into the fullness of what he has for you unless you have enough faith to walk through the very door he's placed in front of you. You see, so many times in my life, I see that God blesses people, and I look at their life, and many times I go, how did God bless you like that? And they tell me their story, but I've learned there's a second part of the story. My second question I always ask them is, what steps did you take for God to continue to do that work in your life? Because it just didn't happen, right? Because I've seen you. I mean, you and your family, you went through some tragedy. I mean, you went through a divorce, but yet your family is strong. I mean, you went through cancer, or you went through the loss of your mother. How can you still have peace and joy? How can you be tight as a family? How? What steps did you take? Because that just doesn't happen. You see, it's easy to look at people and blame them for their blessing. Well, they were blessed because it just happened. They were favored. It just happened. God was just good to them. He just gave them peace. He just gave them joy. It just happened to them. They just walked by and received it. It just happened. It doesn't work that way. It takes steps to enter into the very good things that God is leading you into. So what you stumble into, God says, now you have to step into. And many of you, this is where you get scared, and this is where you freak out, because you don't know what to do, because there is no plan. God says, I just want you to trust. I just want you to trust. I just want you to trust me. And God says, I'll do it for you. Psalm 37:23 says, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his mighty hand. God says, I'm leading you. You just trust me. You just trust me, and I want you to know I got you by the hand. I'm going to lead you. It's going to be tough and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to lead you. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to lead you. You got to work it. 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 You see, God let me stumble into the opportunity to meet my wife, but that didn't give me a great marriage. You know what gave me a great marriage? Day by day sacrificing, say, God, teach me how to love this woman the way Jesus loves her. So if that means I have to die, then let me die. For I've been crucified with Christ no longer. I live, but Christ lives in me. In the life I now live, I live to love this woman. That's what gave me a great marriage. Not because I bumped into her at the Magic basketball game. That's not what gave me a great marriage. It's the hard work every single day we've gone through. The times we battled it out. The times we had to go talk to counselors to try to deal with some of the issues we couldn't deal with. I said, I'm not giving up. We're going to make this marriage great. And I've told you before, on the verge of divorce after 3 years of marriage. And I said, I'm not giving up. We're going to make it work. That was the hard work. You see, it's stumbling in the opportunity, but when am I seizing that opportunity? By faith. God, let me bless my kids. You know when the blessing is going to come? It's not going to be convenient. I go, God, let me bless my son. I want to teach my son and pour into him and show him the love of Jesus. And so it doesn't come after I've read the Bible and I'm praying, God, from one generation to another generation, let me bless. That's not when the opportunity comes. You know when the opportunity comes? When I'm running late at night and I got a busy day and the next day and I stayed up way too late and it's about 12 a.m. and my son comes in. Hey, Dad, can we talk? I stumbled into the opportunity. But in order to have the conversation, I have to step into it by faith. Sure, son, sit down, let's talk. This is where so many struggle. God says, I'm working. So many of you go, God, use me. God, use me. In fact, in a couple weeks, we're going to do Connection Kickoff. And it's going to be an incredible season where we're just going to encourage people. We feel led as a church when school begins that we believe that God is up to something good. And so we're going all in. And what we see there's a people that are hurting that need community more than ever before. So we said we're going to be the church to the community to love them. And so we're doing a Connection Kickoff. It's going to be powerful. We're going to help people connect, whether you're a 2-year-old or whether you're 102. We're going to help connect you with a group of people because you were not made to do life alone. So here's what's going to happen. For those who are in person, we're going to give these invite cards out. For those who are part of our online community, you can go on journeykonnect.org/connect and you can get social media invites. But here's what will happen. God, use me. Okay? So God's going to stumble you into an opportunity. You're going to have a conversation. And the person's probably going to say something like this. I'm new to the area. I don't really know anybody. And at that point, the Spirit will say, remember that invite card in your back pocket? They're looking for a connection. And you're going to freak out. You're going to go, well, I can't connect them. I can't invite. But yeah, you can. This is the stepping part. Come on, shout. You got to step into it. God, use me. Now I got to give the invitation. You see, it's not just going to happen. You got to walk through the doors of the opportunities God's given you. You're going to stumble on it, but you got to step into it. So she goes down and she tells him in the cultural way that they have, hey, I want you. Now I advise you, ladies, don't buy hey, you're my Boaz shirt. Don't buy that. Don't walk around saying I'm still looking for my Boaz. Because you might meet some of his Hebrew brothers, broke ass, dumb ass. Drunk ass. We could go on and on. All the brothers of Boaz. What do you think I'm saying? I'm just talking Hebrew. I'm just speaking Hebrew. Don't send me an email. I'm just speaking Hebrew. I know all the family of Boaz. I met all his crazy relatives. So Ruth steps in by faith, and Boaz agrees to marry her and become her kinsman redeemer. Ruth 4:13, look what it says. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And when he made love to her, the Lord enabled. You see how the Lord, something good. Shout, something good is on the way. You've seen the whole picture now, haven't you? Something good. God enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. And the woman said to Naomi, praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout all of Israel, and he will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Then Naomi took the child in her arms and cared for him. And can I show you verse 17? Get ready. Get ready. Something good. Something good. Then the woman living there said, Naomi has a son, and they named him Obed. And if it would have put a period on it and ended, that would have been one thing. But God says, my plans are not your plans. You see, Obed had a son, and his name was Jesse. And Jesse had a son, and his name was King David. Come on. They showed up and said, God, I'm just surviving. I don't think you can do anything. And God says, I'm not preparing you to survive. I'm preparing you to have a king. And that king will begin to transform the whole world. And from that king, he will have a great grandson. And the name of that son will be called Jesus Christ. You see, Ruth, you thought you were just surviving, but I was preparing you for something good you could never imagine down the line. I want to bless you. I want to watch over you. I want to keep you. You were just looking to get out of Moab. I was looking for someone to raise up a king. You were just looking to be stuck in Moab. I was looking at someone to be the mother of the greatest savior of the world, Jesus Christ. You see, God says, I was up to something good, but because you went through every stage, now you can see it. Now you can see it. Something good, something good. Somebody shout it. Something good is on the way. Push 3 people, say something good is on the way. Come on, Deltona. Come on, Orange City. Something good, something good, something good. Something good is on the way. My God hasn't let me down. You see, I'm just surviving, but that's all right. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to stumble into the very place that God has for me. And when I stumble, I'm about to step into my destiny. I'm about to step into the place God has for me. See, I'm just not out here messing around. God sees kings in my future. God sees eternal redemption in my future. God sees blessing. God says, my plan is always better than your plan. I'm going to work something good out, because something good is about to happen. Will you hold out your hands right now before the Lord? Father, I pray right now for DeLand, Deltona, Orange City, for Palm Terrace, Costa Rica, New Smyrna, Newcastle, Puerto Rico, Wisconsin. God, with hands lifted, we receive it by faith, believing that something good is about to happen. God, I pray for those who are in the surviving stage. They're just surviving, but God, do not let them give up. Something good is about to happen. Something good is on the way. God, would you let them see it? And God, some of them are about to stumble into something. And when they stumble in it, it would just look like it happened. But God, they know better now. They know it just doesn't happen. The providence of God, the favor of God is working for them. But God, when we stumble upon it, now may we step into it. Now may we do the hard part. May we say as Ruth, God, I will do whatever you say. God, you say do it, I will do it. God, whatever you say, I'll do. Will you tell him that? God, I'll do whatever you say do. I don't want to step away from the thing you're leading me into. God, faith means that I got to work it, and I got to work it, so I'll work it. So God, I receive it by faith, and I'll work it by faith. Because God, when I work and live by faith, it unleashes and opens the atmosphere of heaven to invade earth. Something good is on the way. And so we receive it by faith and give God the loudest shout of praise you possibly can.